Thanks for sitting down with me, Erin.
I'm glad to be here, Marc.
We're here at AIBC 2017, and you're speaking about partnerships. You're no stranger to our readers. Despite that fact, can you give me just a little bit of background on yourself and what brings you here?
Sure. As you said, I was invited to be a panelist on a session about partnerships, public-private partnerships. I'm the Director of Industry and Regulatory Affairs with Canterra Seeds, and I've been with the company almost 10 years, and our business is certainly built on partnerships. And so it's a very familiar topic. It's just part of the culture of the company. And so I spoke about that in somewhat general terms, but also used the examples of two particular partnerships that Canterra Seeds is involved in.
There's a lot of, the theme this year is solutions start here. Can you give me a little bit of an idea of the particular partnerships you're talking about and how they're providing solutions for the future, especially with regards to feeding the world, which has been a very big topic?
Yeah, it's been, as you say, a key focus. The two partnerships I spoke about specifically were what we call the P4, and that's actually a public-private producer partnership that involves Canterra Seeds and Alberta Wheat Commission partnering with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada's CPSR breeding program in Lethbridge. And we've been part of that partnership now for 3 years. It was started in 2014, excuse me. And so, that all of us collectively are looking at producing the best CPSR varieties for Western Canada, with a particular focus, of course, in Alberta. And the other partnership I spoke about is Lima Grain Cereals Research Canada, which is a new cereal breeding company that Canterra Seeds launched in partnership with Lima Grain out of France, and that was established in July 2015. So as a seed company, Canterra Seeds is involved in the production and commercialization of seed varieties of field crops in Western Canada. Both of those partnerships are focused specifically on, CPSR wheat in one case and cereals in general in the other, which is, a key part of Canterra Seeds' business. And both have that objective of, just producing new varieties. And LCRC is Canterra's first direct involvement in breeding as one of the partners in that new company. And, in both cases, helping to provide information in terms of, market needs, market directions, the ability to quickly launch varieties, as they become available. In the P4, Canterra Seeds, it's not simply a matter of just handing over some money. It's a matter of being involved in field work and evaluation of the samples and decisions on pipeline and things like that, along with Alberta Wheat Commission as well.
You're talking about innovation, and you said that innovation is often thought about as tradition unhampered by progress, but you believe that it's actually the opposite of that. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, and I think I wasn't really clear when I made that point in my presentation on Tuesday, and I had some clips there of different definitions of innovation. And I was at a session about a month or so ago. It was a round table with some senior government people and the industry chair of one of these economic strategy tables, and talking about barriers to innovation. And in that discussion, somebody made the comment, they used that phrase, and they obviously were not talking about innovation, they were talking about, barriers. I don't remember the exact context, but I loved the phrase so much. So when I captured it in my presentation the other day, as you say, it's definitely the opposite of innovation, is just like, let's stick to tradition and let's not change anything.
On the subject of partnerships, you said that culture is important to the success of a partnership. How so, and what personal experience have you had in that department?
Culture is critical. And again, I think I used the example of the partnership between Canterra Seeds and Lima Grain. And we had been working together in a different context even before the launch of LCRC. And because that worked so well, it led to the discussions that led to the formation of the company. And I've been asked so many times over recent years, how does that work? Limagrain is so big, and Canterra is this regional company in Western Canada. It works because our cultures are so similar. And by that, I mean the approaches we take to our businesses, both are based on partnerships throughout the activities that we undertake. There's a similarity in terms of how we approach the management of whether it's the joint company or projects or discussions, a willingness to just figure out what's going to work for all of us. And there's no right or wrong culture, but if the cultures don't match, in terms of being partners as opposed to transactional interactions, without that match in culture, I think it's harder to form a true partnership. So that would be one of the best examples I have in terms of current experience, is just that similarity, that very close match in how we approach things that just make it work.
Following up on some of these themes about feeding the world that we're talking about here and the future, and what's most exciting for you as far as the cereals sector goes right now?
Oh goodness, there's so much going on. What's the most exciting? I'm not sure I can put my finger on one most exciting thing. We have new participants, both in terms of new companies and organizations, new programs. We also have new individuals at various institutions and companies and so on. That's exciting. Anytime you have new fresh perspectives and new input, lots of change happening in terms of interactions with public institutions. There's more of an openness to talking about, what can partnerships look like. The P4, that Canterra is involved in, that's the first time Ag Canada has engaged in that model, but they're open to other models. Other public institutions and programs are also open to those discussions. Producers and the involvement in the discussions. There's so many moving pieces right now throughout the ag landscape, and including cereals, obviously, and internationally, quite frankly, too. Technically, there's so much going on. There's new technologies that will just make the way we do cereal breeding, for example, just certainly a faster process than it has been in the past. And there's just so many exciting things going on, I think.
Before I let you go, you recently concluded your time as CEO of Limagrain Cereals Research Canada. I understand you're now fully dedicated to Canterra seeds again. And what's next for you? Where do you go from here? Yeah,
so tomorrow is actually my last working day as CEO of LCRC. It's been an amazing experience over the past 2+ years to have been directly involved in getting the company up and running. And I worked with the team within Canterra for several years ahead of that, in negotiations with Limagrain. That was also an amazing experience. Now, as of next week, I'll be 100% back to Canterra Seeds again. I've been sort of splitting my time between the two since July 2015. So in my role as Director of Industry and Regulatory Affairs, again, there are so many industry issues going on right now. I'll be able to devote more time to those. There are a couple of key initiatives that are going to be, sort of coming to conclusions of certain stages anyways in the next month or so, and another one a little bit later on. But there are new issues coming up all the time, and just, keeping an eye on that on behalf of Canterra Seeds, of course, representing, keeping in mind always our interest in LCRC and those activities, and then the broader seed industry, of course, as well.
Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.